Two things are true right now, and they shouldn't be. The first is that Isekai is in decline. That's not a hot take anymore, it's just the state of things. The discourse is exhausted, the seasonal lineups are thinner, even the publishers are feeling it in their finances. Karakoa, one of the biggest companies behind the entire isekai boom, has openly pointed its own bias towards proven genres as part of why the numbers stopped working. When the people printing money admit the well is running dry, that's not a fan complaining anymore, that's the industry. Second thing that is true is that 2026 might be the best year of isekai ever had. Re:Zero put up episodes rated 9.8, 9.9, making it the second best anime right now. Some of the highest rated anime episodes and anime of all time. Mushoku Tensei is back for the third season. Tanya the Evil returned after 9 years and immediately landed near the top of the seasonal polls. Bookworm is on its fourth season, and people still won't shut up on how good it is. So, which is it? Is the genre dying, or is it peaking? I've been chewing on this for a few weeks now, and I think the answer is both. And the reason why says something kind of uncomfortable about what isekai has been this whole time. Let's start with the death, because that part is real. You know the formula. Guy dies, gets hit by a truck, meets a goddess, wakes up in a fantasy world with a cheat skill and status menu. I mean, there's different variations of it, but you get the point. He's overpowered by episode 2. He's collecting devoted party members by episode 4. He's kind, but not in the way that costs him anything. He's smart, but never wrong. He's a blank space with a sword. And for a decade, that worked. It worked so well that the industry basically industrialized it. If you can guarantee a modest return on a light novel adaptation with a proven shape, why gamble? The shape copied, and every copy sanded off a little bit more friction, because friction is uncomfortable, and comfort was the product. Here's the problem with optimizing for comfort. You end up removing the exact things that make a story stick. Conflict, consequence, the possibility of loss, a protagonist who could actually fail. When you strip all of that out, what's left technically qualifies as a story, but doesn't do anything to you. You watched it, you feel mildly pleasant, and 3 weeks later, you couldn't name a single character or what happened in the story. That's what is dying. And honestly, it should. Now, look at what's surviving. Because if the genre itself were the problem, if isekai premise were just fundamentally exhausted, then everything wearing that premise would be sinking at the same rate. And that's very clearly not happening. Re:Zero Lost Ark is the obvious example, and I made a whole video about it, so I'm not even going to reiterate the whole entire thing here, but the short version is this. Re:Zero spent 11 episodes taking everything from its protagonist, not giving him a new power, taking his memories, breaking his one safety net, and forcing him to look at a version of himself he couldn't recognize. It's the least comfortable thing you could possibly do to a main character, and it produced the best reviewed anime episodes of the year. Then there's Mushoku Tensei, which is back for a third season and remains one of the most divisive shows in the medium. And I want to be straight up about it. Rudeus is genuinely uncomfortable to watch sometimes. Yeah, it's true. It's not an accident, and it's not a defense. It is the point, though. The show is built on the idea that being reborn doesn't wash you clean. He arrives in the world that with carrying every failure, every ugly habit from the life he wasted. And the whole story is him slowly, imperfectly trying to become someone better. Whatever you think how it handles that, you cannot excuse it of giving its protagonist an easy ride. And then Tanya the Evil comes back from 9 years. 9 years. And it lands immediately. Tanya is maybe the funniest inversion of the whole formula because she gets everything an isekai protagonist is supposed to want: power, talent, a fresh start, and it's all a punishment. She's an arrogant salaryman who got reincarnated as a little girl in the middle of a world war, specifically because a god got tired of her smugness. The entire premise is a protagonist being told no. So look at what these three have in common. It's not the tone. They're widely different shows. It's not the animation quality. It's not popularity. It's that in every single one of them, the isekai premise costs the protagonist something. And I think that's the actual answer. The isekai setup was never a genre. It was always a tool. It's a device asking a very specific question. Who are you when you are stripped of your context? Take a person out of their world, out of their history, out of everything that defined them, and see what's left. That's a genuinely great question. It's the same question underneath a lot of great fiction. When a story actually engages with it, the isekai premise isn't a crutch. It's the sharpest possible way to ask it. Ray Zero takes Subaru's memories and asks whether he's still himself underneath. Mushoku Tensei gives a man a second life and asks whether he'll waste this one too. Tanya gets everything she wants and finds out it was a sentence, not a gift. The formula version never asks anything. It answers before you can ask. You are, in fact, special. You are, in fact, powerful. Everyone will, in fact, like you. That's not a story. That's a reassurance with a fantasy skin on it. And here's the part I keep coming back to, because I think it explains the whole paradox. When a genre gets oversaturated, it doesn't die evenly. The middle collapses first. All the competent, forgettable, formula-shaped shows, the ones that were never bad enough to hate but never good enough to remember. Those are the ones that stop getting made, because audiences stop showing up for the shape alone. What survives is the top, the shows that were never really riding on the trend in the first place, that just so happened to use the same premise for their own reasons. So the isekai lineup gets thinner every season, and simultaneously the isekai at the top look better than they ever have. Not because the good ones got better, it's because the noise around them got quieter, and you can finally hear them. Which is honestly a pretty optimistic way for a genre to shrink. I don't think isekai is going anywhere. Something like it has existed for as long as people have told stories. Alice falls down a hole, Dorothy gets picked up by a tornado, 4 kids walk through a wardrobe. Displacement is one of the oldest engines fiction has ever had. The specific 2010 light novel versions of it is fading, and that version deserves to fade. But the question underneath it is permanent. And the price of clearing out 100 forgettable power fantasies is that we get more shows willing to actually hurt their protagonists, more shows willing to ask what's left when you take everything away. I think that's a trade worth making. Also, the recapture arc starts August 12th. Ray Zero picks up right back up from the arc that broke me, and I'll be covering it, hopefully. And if you haven't seen the Lost Arc yet, that video is linked below, and you've got a few weeks. The genre is shrinking, but what's left is the good stuff. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next one. Peace.